Today, we're going to work on our January dates for our daily temperature project. So grab a cup of your favorite coffee, tea, or cozy beverage, and let's get stitching. Hi, I'm Lauren, the artist behind Garden Girl Studio, and I'm so excited that you're joining me for another Sunday Stitches. Today, we're going to be working on our temperatures for our January 2024 temperature hoop. If you want to see how to set up this project, if you're new and you're just joining us now, I'll be sure to link the setup video in the description below, so be sure to go check it out. So if you're ready to get started, we're going to go ahead and fill in the rest of our temperature dashes and this leaf right here for our January portion of this project. So a quick reminder as we're getting started, we are going to be filling in a dash to correspond with every temperature for every day this year. And in order to determine what color we're going to make our little dashes, we are going to use a chart, and I've predetermined which range of temperatures is going to correspond with which DMC floss color. So I have all of my flosses here, and I've decided which of these colors is going to correspond with a temperature range for each day. And if you're looking again for the template to get started to join this project, I'll be sure to give a link to where you can download this template and this temperature chart on my website so that you can follow along. So for the first video, we had filled in the first 10 temperatures. So the first 10 days in January. And now that it's February, yay, we can go ahead and fill in the rest of our temperatures. So I've gone ahead and I have tracked all of the temperatures for my area, and I've determined which colors we need to use and how many of each color, how many dashes of each color we're gonna need. So let's jump right in. To get started, I'm gonna need 10 dark blue dashes. And if you wanna do this project so that you can go day by day, you're going to be adding a color, you can. But because of the nature of embroidery floss, I'm going to need like a sizable strand. I'm going to be just kind of doing them in chunks. I might leave little gaps so I can see here, for example, I have 2 dark blue dashes followed by a lavender. So I might, and then another dark blue. So I might do 2 dashes, leave a space for the lavender, and then fill in another blue. But I want to make sure that I'm filling in all of my dark blue dashes at once, just so that I don't waste thread and have to keep rethreading a new needle. It'll just be a more cohesive way to work. So that's what I'm recommending. I am not using a super huge strand. I'm using all 6 of my substrands for this strand of floss. I'm going to go ahead and thread my needle. And I am tying a little knot just so that it doesn't pop through. And again, we're going to need a total of 10, and I'll kind of keep an eye on where they land so we can kind of go in order. And I'm working my way from the top to the bottom as we go throughout the year. So looks like we ended here with this lavender. I'm going to do these 2 in dark blue right up here. So we have 1. 2, 3. I'm going to leave this one for lavender. Okay. And then I'm going to leave some space. So we're going to do, because the rest of our dark blues came toward the end of the month, so I'm going to try to leave a few gaps here because I don't want to lose track of what we've filled in. I am going to go ahead and just mark that we've done 1, 2, and 3. We're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces, plus the 9th for the lavender. Okay, so 3, 6, 9. I'll fill in this guy. 1. So this is our dark blue. I can fill in this dark blue. This might not be perfect, but it'll be okay. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. I'm gonna start making my way back up because I don't want to get too far away. We'll just kind of start to fill in right over this corner. And just 5 more simple stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. And 5. Okay, our dark blue section is all done. Yay, go team. There we go. Okay, so we filled in all 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Go ahead and tie off a little knot. Next color I'm going to grab is our light blue. Our light blue is 160, so we only need 6 of those. We don't need a super long strand. What I love about this project is it's quick, it's fast, it's easy. The florals will take more time than actually filling in these dashes, but florals are fun to stitch, so that's going to be half of the fun. Looks like there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 kind of all in the middle. So we're just going to go ahead and fill in a whole bunch of these. So we're going to start right up here. 1, 2, and don't worry if you're a little bit off of the line, it should erase when we're all done with heat. No big deal. So that's 3, 4, 5, and 6. Easy enough. We're saving this little dash up here for lavender. Does it make a difference? No, but I just want to. So again, we're going to go ahead and tie this off. We'll use the remnants of these strands for our leaf floral section for January. So don't worry, we're not throwing those out. Okay, let's do our lavender ones right now. So our lavender color is 153, which is this color right here. We only have 3. So again, we don't need a ton. Temperatures were fairly, for us, warm for January. Usually we see a lot more below 0 temperatures. So it was relatively warm. We only got down below 15 degrees a couple times. You can see based on the 2 green dashes we're going to be doing. So temperatures were fairly warm for our area, considering it's going to be 1, 2, and I'm going to fill in this dash right here for 3. Okay, and these last 2 I'm going to fill in with green. And then our dashes for this part of the project are going to be done, which is very exciting. This project goes very, very quickly. Green, here we go. We only need 2 greens, but I might use this a little bit more for our leaf, so let's take a peek. Okay, 2 greens. Green dash right here. So our greens kind of came toward the middle end of the month. This is a good location. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just trying to get a good idea of how our year fell. Okay, that's super exciting. So I'm just going to tie that off. And now it's time to tackle, we're going to do this leaf for this portion of this project. Now, I want you to keep in mind that there's going to be a number of ways that we can fill in these florals. So do what works best for you and your project. I'm going to be using the colors that we used for the dashes each month to fill in the floral section. And I'm opting to start with this leaf right here. I'm going to fill it in with the blues, the green, and the lavender colors. I'm going to be using a fishbone stitch for each of the leaves and a whipped backstitch for the stem, but you can use whatever stitches work best for you. I'm also not going to worry too much about the color proportions. So we had a lot more blues than we did the other colors. I'm not going to stress about that. These are just going to be the colors that I'm going to use for my palette. So if you want to go based on how much of each color was used, by all means, I say totally go for it. I personally am not going to worry too much about it. I just kind of want the colors to kind of reflect how they shifted through the year as we work our way down the design. But again, this is totally up to you. Work on this project the way that you think it's going to come out the best. I'm going to leave it up to your creativity. Okay, so the colors that we're primarily going to be focusing on are these two blues, this green, and this lavender. Again, I'm not going to worry too much about the color proportions. It's just these are going to be the colors I'm going to use for my palette to fill in this leaf. Now, I kind of want to do something fun with this. I think I'm going to make an ombre leaf. So it's going to start lavender to medium blue to dark blue, or lavender to light blue to dark blue. And then I'm probably going to use my green for the stem. I think that's my plan. It may be too many colors, but we're going to kind of feel it out and see how this goes. Here's my little bit of lavender. I kind of want a little bit more, so I'm going to be pulling a little bit more from my strands here. And at some point, I'm probably going to put these onto bobbins just so that they're easier to work with. But for right now, we are doing okay. So let's find our strand. Okay, it's right here. And I'm going to be using 3 strands, and we're going to be doing a fishbone stitch for each leaf. So I'll show you how one of these bigger leaves comes out, and then I'll go ahead and I'll fly through and I'll do the rest so that you can see what the final product is going to look like. And don't forget to enjoy a sip of your tea or coffee or whatever you've brought with you today. We're here to have a little bit of fun and get our creativity on. So don't forget that this is supposed to be a fun project, not just work, work, work. Grab some snacks. Let me know what you're working on in the comments below. I love to hear what projects you've got going on this Sunday. If you're not working on this project, are you working on something else? I've seen some really fun projects coming through, from greeting cards to slow stitching and quilting. So let me know what you're working on. Okay, I'm going to show you on this leaf right here, and then I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest so that I'm not keeping you here for a couple hours while we're stitching. Okay, so to start my fishbone, I'm just going to come down a little ways. And my goal is going to be to fill in about 1/3 of this leaf with this lavender color. I'm going to do my little crossovers. I love the fishbone stitch for leaves. It just comes out looking very botanical. This is one of my favorite stitches to do for foliage and leaves. And we're going to come down a little ways. Okay. Okay. I might do one more on this side right here. And then I'm going to anchor that off so that I can start blending in another color. And actually, what I might do to really make them blend is I'm going to actually skip a stitch here. And we're going to cross back over, and I'm going to fit that back in once we have our light blue threaded in. Okay? So, and I might do one here as well. Gone a little farther than I anticipated, but it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. So we're going to blend that blue up into that. Okay, tie off for right now. We're going to keep that threaded. I'm going to start a new needle with our, calling it light blue. It's really like a medium blue. Okay, again, 3 strands. Recombine. Okay, so remember we skipped a couple of those stitches, so we're going to go ahead and jump back up and fill them in. So I'm going to go ahead and cross over this stitch right here. Okay, and we're going to come up right here. And I'm going to come down before this lavender, right in between there. And then we're going to just kind of keep going. And I think this would work best if you have colors that really float into each other, but we're gonna just have a little fun with it. I think it's gonna be all right. Some leaves in real life really do change colors dramatically. Not necessarily from lavender to blue, but that's okay. We're gonna have a creative project here. So we're gonna get it a good ways. And you can see those colors are kind of blending in a little bit, which is kind of fun. Do a few more stitches of this blue. And I might do a second stitch here just to catch this side up to this other one, which is going to be picking up quickly. There we go. And I'll do one more here. It's pretty. Okay, I'm going to switch over to our darker blue. Let's see how that goes. And again, I'm going to keep this needle threaded so that I can use it again for our other leaves. I'm going to start a new needle with our darkest blue color that we have for this project anyway. And we do have another needle here that we can use. Okay, I'm going to take a stitch in here to blend a little bit. So I'm going to just come right through, blend a little bit, again a stitch just above, and I'm going to come down kind of in the middle of this crossing. Okay, you can see it's starting to get a little bit deeper in color. And then we're going to start our traditional back and forth fishbone back up. I might widen this leaf out a little bit at the base. Feel free to reshape as you go. It's part of the fun of fishbone stitch. You can reshape a leaf if you want to. There we go. And I like to add an extra little stitch or two at the base just to kind of round out the bottom of my fishbone leaves so that they look a little bit more natural, not so harsh of an ending. So we'll add a stitch or two there, and I kind of come down into the same spot to give them a more finished look. Okay, so that is our ombre leaf. Actually, I think that came out really pretty. I am really, really pleased with that. One way that you can blend them even more if you think things look a little bit stark is you can kind of run your needle through, and it'll kind of blend the fibers a bit more. Okay, so that's an option. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to run through all of those leaves. I'm not going to keep you on for the whole duration because it could take an hour, and I don't know if you guys want to be hanging out chilling with me for that long. So I've shown you how to do one, and then for our green, we're going to do a whipped back stitch. I think along the stem, let's just make sure that that looks nice. I think it will. I don't want it super thick. I think I'm only going to use 2 strands for my back stitch and 2 strands for my whipping portion. I really don't want it to overtake the leaves themselves. And again, I'm going to be using another needle. So I have a ton of embroidery needles. And we're going to start filling that in. And I think it's going to look really pretty. So just to show you what this is going to look like, I'm just going to start, I'll start, and we'll do this main stem, and then basically we're going to add little bits to each leaf. So I'm just going to do a back stitch. Okay, and I'm going to just take one more stitch here, and I'm going to pop up just beyond it for my whipping portion. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and just whip each of these stitches. Make sure that stays a little bit tight for us. I need my fingers to work today. There we go. Sometimes the fingers just don't cooperate the way we want them to. Okay, this is going to blend these back stitches really nicely. This is one of my go-to stitches for line work because it just, you don't have to worry too much about your stitches being all even in the same length. They're going to look like they're all blending together. It's good for stems and botanical work if you like florals. And you don't have to do ombre leaves if you don't want to. I just thought that it would be fun. You can choose to do your leaves as solid colors. You can choose to alternate leaf colors. You can really make this project your own and use your creativity to make the project the way that you like. Okay, so that's our main stem. And then for each of these little leaves here, I'm just going to come down and take a stitch or two. Say take a stitch, and I'll take a second stitch, go back. They're going to be much smaller portions, but this is all we're going to do. And you're just going to work your way across the full leaf plane. Again, we're just going to whip that. And I'm just going to tuck it under our main stem so that it looks like it's kind of just blending right in. See? Nice. I'll do that a couple more times just so you can get a feel for what that looks like. Again, I'm just going to take two really small stitches, one stitch, second one. I'm going to come right back up. I'm coming back to the top, and I'll whip those once. Second stitch whipped right here. And then I'm going to go right on down. Beautiful. And I'll show you one more time on here so you can see what it looks like with your leaves. So I'm probably going to go through and do all of my leaves first and then finish this stem work. Well, we're here. I might as well. I might just keep going. Okay, one little stitch, two little stitches. I might have been able to get away with one there, but two makes it look a little bit nicer for the whipped work. There's one, and then our teeny tiny stitch. Let's see if we can catch it. Yeah, okay. Might have cut a little of our fabric, but that's okay. It's totally fine. And then we're gonna just tuck it right under. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and stitch away and get all of these leaves finished up, and then I will show you the results. And here are the final results from January's portion of our temperature stitching project. I also wanted to let you know that if you love the floss colors that I'm using, I'm going to have bundles available on my website. So you can check out these bundles in a link in the description below. All right, we did it. We finished up January's portion from our temperature stitching project. I love how this came out. I think it's going to be really pretty. I can't wait to see the other colors as they start coming down the rest of our project. So be sure to tune in, hit subscribe, click the little bell below so that you can stay updated on this project. I'm going to be posting February's updates probably the first week in March. I'm going to try to just right as soon as the month ends, go ahead and get started with the next month so that we can keep on stitching all year long. So be sure to check your temperatures and follow along so that you can get even more details. Thanks so much for stitching with me on this fabulous Stitching Sunday, friends. I'll see you next Sunday for even more stitching. Until next time, friends.